Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whales, Birds, and Bugs. My name is Sofia Pareja, and I'll be the host for today's panel. I'd like to begin by gratefully acknowledging that Science World is located on the traditional and unceded Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh village of Sinnock. We'll start today with a quick introduction from our amazing group of mentors, followed by a hosted discussion. If you have any questions for our mentors, then feel free to put them in the chat at any time. Our technician today is Hannah, who will be monitoring the chat. If you have any technical issues, then Hannah will be happy to assist you. We ask that you keep comments in the chat and question section respectful and relevant to the topics being discussed. Now, it's time to meet our mentors. Let's start by going around and doing a brief introduction before we jump into our questions. Mentors, if you could turn on your cameras, we'll bring you up on screen. All right, looks like we're all here. Can we get each of you to let us know your name, your job title, and the thing you love most about your career? Grace, why don't you start?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Grace. I am the research director with BC Whales, which is a research organization focused on the studying and protection of whales along the coast of British Columbia. I love my job because it means I get to spend so much time outdoors on the water and watching whales from land. It truly can't be beat. I'd also just like to quickly acknowledge that where we conduct our research is within the traditional territories of the Gitga'at, Kitasoo, and Heiltsuk nations.
All right. And Rhonda, how about you?
Hey everyone, my name is Rhonda, and I'm a graduate student at UBC. I'm part of the Foster Lab in the biochemistry department, but we research honeybees here. So I guess my favorite part of the job is not only all the free honey that we get from working with our bees, but honestly just being outside, doing the beekeeping stuff. It's a good time.
Thank you. And Samuel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Samuel. I am a bird bander for the Rocky Point Bird Observatory, although our season just ended. And I love my job because I get to catch and band birds every day. And it's really beautiful to see all these birds up close. And just like Grace, she gets to work with whales up close in the water. I get to work with birds up close, but in my hands.
All right. And last but not least, Kendall.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kendall. I am a graduate student at SFU in the Grace Lab, so in the biology department. I study beetles. The favorite part of my job is definitely being outside just like everybody else. I get to go to these beautiful locations all around British Columbia, and it's an absolute blast being able to just explore back roads and get to do what I love outside.
Thank you. Now, we'll open up for questions from the chat. If you have any questions for our mentors, feel free to put them in the chat now. All right. To start out, how did you get started in your career?
I can take that question first.
All right.
If that's okay. So I got started in the field through an experience that was brought to my attention in my undergraduate degree. So I was studying biology, and I needed research experience of some type, and it didn't really matter what it was for me. And then it was actually through a link at my university that kind of brought this honeybee research tech position to my attention. It was a summer student position available with the government of Alberta, because that's where I'm from. And they have an apiculture team, so honeybee research focused. And I applied, and thank goodness that I got it because I fell in love with that experience. So it only took 4 months of my summer to know that this is where I wanted to stay, which I think is probably similar to a lot of people in this mentor group. But I think once you find something, you want to stick with it.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And
I had a very similar experience to Rhonda. In my undergrad degree, my supervisor had a bird banding program to help teach students and teach them about handling animals and wildlife and just some general ecology. And I'd never done anything like that before. I didn't even know one species of bird off the top of my head, probably at that point. And I went for one time, and it was the coolest experience ever. I fell in love with it. I volunteered there for years, and then I just kept gaining skills. And then because of this opportunity the school provided, I was able to go to other provinces all over to get different jobs bird banding. And now actually I'll be beginning my master's project at the University of Windsor, also with more bird banding focus. So it really helps to find passions and just be open to trying new things, because you'll unexpectedly get a new passion, and that'll totally change your career path.
just a reminder that you can put questions in the chat at any time.
I'll go next, I guess. So I grew up on the coast here. I grew up in a small town called Ladner, which I'm sure many of you have probably visited. And just living in this coastal environment, I fell in love with the ocean at a really young age. I actually learned to walk at the beach. And so it's just always been a part of me. As I grew up and got a little bit older, I was offered a position at a whale watching company. And so I rediscovered that love for whales really quickly. And from there, I just sort of started reaching out to anyone I could to try to get my feet wet in the research world. And from there, got a really incredible internship with BC Whales and was able to stick with them. And I'm so happy to be working with them now, working on so many different projects and spending time with incredible, huge animals.
I can go last to finish off all of this for this question. I first got started similarly to Rhonda and Samuel, just an undergraduate course on insects. I was so scared of insects before, had absolutely no interest, and fell in love with just the diversity and how colorful and amazing all of these insects are. And from that, I was able to get a summer job just working on research, not on insects that summer. And that was kind of the first introduction that I had to research. I had really no idea beforehand that it could become a career path. And it's a giant puzzle that I get to solve every day with answering different questions about insects. And it's really, really, really amazing. So anything that you're ever slightly interested in, just pursue it. You never know what your passions can lead you to.
Thank you. Now, how do you, what does a typical day for all of you look like?
I can start this one off. I think as a graduate student, for anyone that's doing a master's program or even an undergraduate degree, there's really no such thing as a typical day. And that's what's so exciting about doing research and being involved in science, is that you never really know what your day is going to bring. For me right now, I usually try and work like as close to a 9 to 5 as I can by putting hours on it. But I'll get to my lab in the morning, and then I'll start answering emails, and then I'll sit down at my microscope, identify some beetles that I've caught in some traps. And then after that, it's kind of a wild card. Right now, I'm teaching an undergraduate lab course, so I get to go in and teach undergrad students about insects. But other days, I'm heading out into the field, putting out traps. So it can really be anything.
That is very accurate. You never know what it's going to be like, especially in like the ecology side of things. For my job working as a bird bander for the Rocky Point Bird Observatory, I could give you like a pretty rough what my day looks like. I'm usually waking up at 2:00 in the morning. I have to be there half hour before sun. I have to open up the nets half hour before sunrise. We have great big nets that we catch the birds in. And they're open for 6 hours. So half hour before sunrise, 6 hours after that, and all day I'm checking all the nets. I'm collecting the birds out of the nets, putting little bands on them and releasing them to go fly back to their regular daily activities. And then once all that's done, I go home and I sleep because I'm tired after waking up at 2:00 in the morning.
I was gonna wait and see if Grace wanted to take it because I feel like my explanations aren't going to be so good. But I think it's very similar to what Kendall had mentioned. Like every single day, especially in the winter with my research, I never know what to expect. I just try and fit in as many things as possible, to be honest, that is on my to-do list. But I think there's a lot of different sections of things that I try and get done. So one example of this would be like outreach things like this. So I try and fit stuff like this in, answer emails. I also teach in TA, which is such a wonderful experience, and I love putting my time into that. So I do a course most of the time. And then other times I'm in the lab or I'm in a meeting with someone discussing different pieces of my project and how to put them all together. But that's very winter-ish. So in the summer, if I was going out to the bee fields to manage our hives, I'd be waking up probably at 6 a.m., going out to say good morning to my bees, and then starting to open them up and look for the queen and check on how they're doing and stuff, and whether or not I'm taking samples that day. And then I would finish by 5 and, similar to Samuel, go home and sleep because I am exhausted. So that's the best explanation that I can give. But I think what's most exciting about our jobs here, especially in research, is just that you get to do a bunch of different things.
Yeah, so my day-to-day, just like everybody here, can vary hugely. But I will say that similarly to Rhonda, what we do is quite seasonal. So we're only actually in the field from usually May until the end of October on the north coast of British Columbia. And so we have a research station on a little island called Finn Island, and maybe Hannah can pull up a photo of that station. And so we're actually going to be living there throughout those months. And so from there, the day-to-day could look like you're on the deck doing some scans, documenting any marine mammal life that you're seeing, as well as any vessel activity. We're really interested in how vessels are interacting, excuse me, with whales and marine mammals in the area. We're actually documenting all of these movements along a proposed tanker route. So it's really critical for us to be getting that baseline data. What kinds of whales are there? What are they doing? How long are they there? And what kinds of boats are in their presence as well? So that can be a typical day from land. And then we have another sort of typical day in the field, and that's a day on the water, where we're going out on the boat, doing a marine survey, and again, documenting whale presence, as well as any other vessel presence in the area. And so with all the information we're gathering, we're able to identify whales all the way down to the individual level. And that gives us really great insights into their behaviors, how they're playing into other members of the population, and really incredible things like that. But in the winter, we aren't able to be up on the north coast. The storms just get too strong for us to be in that shelter. And so we're actually down south in various locations going through our data. And that's really an incredible thing. It doesn't sound as exciting to some people, but if you've lived collecting the data, it means you get to go back through and relive moments that you've already lived in the field. So it's really an exciting way to do science and to gather this information.
All right. What do you say is the most exciting part of your job?
I can take that one. There's two parts to why my job is so exciting. The first part is obviously birds, because birds are so cool and they're so diverse, and you never know what you're gonna get captured in the net because we're doing passive netting, so we aren't actually targeting anything. We just catch what we catch. Sometimes we'll catch a hawk. Sometimes we'll catch an owl. Sometimes we'll catch a little tiny hummingbird. And all of these birds have these cool, crazy, different things going on. Sometimes they're changing out their plumage, they're changing their feathers, and you can see all these little things that birds do that you cannot see when they're just like out in nature. You can only see them when they're in your hand. The other extra exciting thing about my job is teaching people. I love to teach people about birds, and when they come to my banding station and they see birds in the hand for the first time, usually it's like, these crazy looks of amazement in their face. And I know because I felt the exact same way the first time I tried it. And I love to teach people when they're a little bit more advanced. They can start actually banding the birds themselves and just teaching them about different life histories of every species, because every species has something unique about them. And there's just so much knowledge to keep in your mind when you're looking at these birds, and there's so much knowledge to share with others. It's really, really exciting every single time. Never gets old.
I can take this one next. I'd say probably the most exciting thing, or I guess I have a couple. I'll start with the first one, is definitely just being able to answer like puzzles, essentially. So with any science question, you're putting out a hypothesis. You've got this question and you want to find answers, and it's so exciting and so rewarding when you finally are able to figure something out. So with me, I am trying to figure out different smells that these beetles really like. And it's so exciting to go out in the field and you have really no idea when you put the traps out there if they're going to like them or not. And being able to go out in the field and see the traps absolutely full with all of these beetles and knowing that you actually were able to solve the question is just so much fun. The other really exciting part of my job that I love is being able to do outreach and being able to teach people that insects aren't scary, that they're actually really cool. I was one of the people that was scared of insects. I didn't like them. I didn't want to have anything to do with them. I used to scream. Spiders aren't insects, but I used to scream whenever there was a spider nearby. So I love the ability to be able to do outreach programs and something like this, or even teaching at the undergraduate level and being able to inform everybody just the really neat things that insects are able to do, and really share that they're not something to be scared of.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm gonna get Hannah to pull up some of my photos that I sent in so I can show you guys what we actually look like when we're in the fields. Let's see. Okay, awesome. So yeah, I think one of my favorite things about being outside, especially doing bee work in BC compared to any other Canadian provinces, is just the beautiful environments and how variable every species of plant is, and etc. And so like in this image, this is one of our fields overlooking the Tsawwassen Bay area. So this was, for me, some of my research hives. So this is where we were working. You can skip to the next one. Awesome, there you go. And that's just a photo of a queen and some of our bees. So one thing that I think surprised me when I first started working with hives was, again, like all the newness, like Kendall mentioned, you're a little bit nervous, and a lot of people don't get the opportunity to work with different sorts of bugs. And a lot of people find it really unfamiliar to work with honeybees. But I think kind of seeing a hive for the first time is really exhilarating. And it does make you fall in love a little bit because it's such a calming thing. You have to work very slowly, and it's really beautiful to see, you know, a whole hive come together from brood. So you can skip to the next one. I sent in quite I think 6 images, so we'll see if we can sort through them. So this is me and one of my colleagues. She's helping me out with some of my research hives. So again, we have that beautiful like BC landscape, and just being with the bees is amazing. And Hannah, we can keep going. We'll just show them all in this kind of answer. So again, this was a swarm on one of my hives, which is such a beautiful moment as well. You can skip to the next one. And obviously we have some delicious honey. So this is from Honey Harvest. So you get to see all these kind of very natural like systems out in play, I guess, real-time vision, which is amazing. So yeah, I think that's everything I had to share, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll take it from here, I guess, for this question. So my favorite part about my job is it's always exciting to be on the water. I love that aspect of what I do. But truly, the most exciting part for me is being able to listen to the underwater world. So where our station's located, we actually have hydrophones that are right in the channel, right in front of us. And there's an array of 4, and they're set up in such a way that when whales go through and they're vocal, we actually have the ability to localize where they are. And so for things like humpback whales, they can do the strategy for feeding called bubble net feeding. And Hannah, if you can pull up that photo of all the humpback mouths, that's a really great way to visualize what's happening. So what's going to happen when they're doing the strategy is they're going to go below a school of fish and they'll separate themselves into callers and bubble blowers. And the callers will vocalize this call that can affect the swim bladder of herring and force them towards the surface. At the same time, other members of this big feeding group will be swimming in a spiral and blowing bubbles, making a net out of them and actually trapping all the fish within it. So once all those fish are trapped, these whales are able to lunge through and take a big meal. And this can go on for hours at a time, and they'll circumnavigate these islands in the Great Bear Rainforest, feeding using this strategy. And being able to sit on the deck at our research station, listening to these calls, knowing that these whales are about to surface, is just one of the most exciting things that I've ever experienced, and definitely one of the most exciting aspects of what I get to do.
Now we have a question from the chat. Rhonda, do you sell your honey and wax?
Unfortunately, no, we don't. No institution is allowed to technically sell their honey or any hive byproducts such as wax, but we do gift them to our friends and family, which can be really beautiful because it makes a lot of people very happy. So we do have like jars, and we jar all of our honey, and we have logos for it and all. And yeah, I mean, I guess you'll have to stay in touch with me and see if you can get some free honey for me. Danny, that's such a good question, and I honestly don't. I don't even know at this point. I've been stung very many times, and I can tell you that the pain never gets any better. The first time, after a while, it hurts. But some days I will feel really in my mojo, and I won't get stung by anyone, and that's when you really feel connected, and it's wonderful. But I mean, we should never be scared of a bee sting. It's natural for them. If it's a defense action. So never let a bee scare you guys. They're so wonderful, and they're so nice, and they just want to do their thing.
All right, so we're almost out of time, so one last question for you all. What advice would you give yourself as a 13-year-old?
I can start that one off. I would say be open and curious and just try new things. I was just like Kendall. I didn't like bugs. I didn't love them. I didn't even know anything about birds. And then I took an entomology class. I started bird banding, and now I love both of those things. It's so cool, and I had no idea it was a passion until I tried it out. So you never know. You might try something out and you don't like it, then you know you don't like it, but you might try something out and you love it, and now you know you love it. So just be curious and try new things.
Yeah, I would echo that, and also just add that if you find that you do have a passion, just follow it. Just see where it takes you, because it might take you exactly where you want to be.
I think those are both really, really good points, just staying curious and following exactly what you like. Even today, I'm still learning about all of these different opportunities and all of these different jobs that I had no idea even existed when I was 12 or 13 years old. I think we're very much split into different categories when we're that age. Like, you like science, or you like art, or you're good at math, or there's something else. And I think there's just so many different places that you can go. And if you just follow what you like doing, it's truly amazing, the opportunities that can come from that.
I'm not sure that we have enough time for me to pitch in, but definitely exactly what everybody said here is the right advice for sure. When I was 13, I'm pretty sure I wanted to be a dentist. So I'm in a very different place, and that's really, really amazing. And I'm super happy. So follow your passions, and keep an open mind, and continue talking to people, continue seeking advice. I have so many great mentors in my life. I'm sure any one of us here would be like happy to be in touch if you're remotely interested in anything. But also through like university, find those mentors and people that you look up to, and just ask questions. Just see if there's a spot for you to try. So Yeah.
I guess just to quickly add before we're out of time, maybe Hannah can share some links to the BC Whales website and our social medias. If you're interested in whale research, definitely check out those platforms, and we'd be happy to connect with you as well. If you want to send us a message or message me personally, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have about it.
Thank you to all of you for attending, and thank you to all of you mentors for sharing your experiences. If you could please now return to the main stream in the lobby for the next activity.